Have you ever wondered what the most dangerous sin is? It's a heavy question, right? We often think of the big, obvious ones, the ones that make headlines. But what if I told you the most deceptive, the most corrosive, the most foundational sin of all is one we often overlook, and sometimes even admire? I'm talking about pride. Yes, pride. It's the silent killer of souls, the invisible poison in our relationships, and the original sin that started it all. Today, we're going to peel back the layers and expose why pride is, without a doubt, the most deceptive sin of all time. So, what exactly makes pride so dangerous? First and foremost, pride is a blinder. It creates a massive blind spot right in the center of our self-awareness. When we're proud, we're convinced we've got it all figured out. We see our strengths, our talents, our accomplishments, and we puff up our chests. We think, I'm good, I'm strong, I don't need help. But this very attitude is what makes us incredibly vulnerable. It's like walking on a tightrope 1,000 feet in the air, while refusing to admit you're afraid of heights. The Bible is crystal clear on this. Proverbs 16:18 famously says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." It's not a suggestion, it's a spiritual law, like gravity. When pride takes root, it blinds us to our own weaknesses and faults. We stop seeking advice because we think we know best. We stop listening to constructive criticism because our ego feels attacked. We become unteachable. And an unteachable spirit is a spirit that cannot grow. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever been so sure you were right about something, only to realize later you were completely mistaken? That moment of humbling realization is a crack in the armor of pride. But a person consumed by pride will double down, make excuses, and shift blame rather than simply admit, "I was wrong." They build a fortress of self-righteousness around themselves. But what they don't realize is that they're not keeping others out. They're trapping themselves in. This blindness prevents us from seeing our need for grace, our need for forgiveness, and ultimately, our need for God. Secondly, pride is a divider. It's the ultimate relationship wrecker. It's the root of so much conflict, bitterness, and division in our families, our friendships, our churches, and our communities. Pride says, "My needs are more important than yours. My opinion is more valid than yours. My way is the only way." It creates a constant competition. Instead of collaborating, we're competing. Instead of serving, we're seeking to be served. Instead of loving, we're demanding to be loved. This me-first mentality is the polar opposite of the selfless love that builds healthy, thriving relationships. It turns conversations into debates, disagreements into battles, and partners into rivals. When pride infects a relationship, empathy dies. We stop trying to understand the other person's perspective because we're too busy defending our own. We keep a record of wrongs, always ready to point out how we've been slighted or unappreciated. We become easily offended, seeing personal attacks where none were intended. Pride whispers in our ear, "You deserve better. You shouldn't have to put up with this." It encourages us to walk away, to cut ties, to isolate ourselves rather than do the hard, humbling work of reconciliation. It's the force that drives wedges between husbands and wives, parents and children, and close friends. It creates a lonely world where everyone is an island, fiercely protecting their own little kingdom of self. But this isn't strength, it's a profound and tragic weakness. Now, here's where pride gets truly sneaky. This is what makes it the most deceptive sin of all. Pride is a master of disguise. It often masquerades as its complete opposite, humility. This is what we call false humility. It's the person who says, "Oh, I'm the worst. I'm so terrible at everything," not because they're genuinely humble, but because they're fishing for compliments. They want you to rush in and say, "No, you're not. You're amazing." This self-deprecation is still a form of self-centeredness. The focus is still on me. A truly humble person is not someone who thinks less of themselves. It's someone who thinks of themselves less. Their focus is outward, on God and on others. False humility is a subtle trap. We can convince ourselves we're being humble while our hearts are still puffed up with pride. We might serve others, but we do it with an expectation of being recognized and praised. We might pray long, eloquent prayers in public, not to connect with God, but to impress those around us with our spirituality. We might refuse a leadership position, saying we're not worthy, when in reality, we're afraid of failing and damaging our own reputation. In every case, the motivation is self-preservation and self-exaltation, cleverly disguised as piety and humility. It's a distorted self-perception that is incredibly difficult to spot in ourselves. We become actors on a stage, playing the part of a humble servant, while our hearts are secretly craving the applause of the audience. This is pride at its most insidious. The Bible gives us powerful and sobering examples of pride's devastating consequences. The ultimate case study, of course, is Lucifer. Isaiah 14 describes his downfall. He was a being of incredible beauty and wisdom, an anointed cherub who walked among the fiery stones in the very presence of God. But pride found its way into his heart. He said, "I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High." 5 times he said, "I will." It was this self-centered ambition, this desire to usurp God's authority, that led to his rebellion and his cataclysmic fall from heaven. He became Satan, the adversary, the father of lies. His story is the ultimate warning. No one, no matter how gifted or elevated, is immune to the destructive power of pride. Then consider the nation of Israel. God chose them, rescued them from slavery, gave them his law, and promised them a land of their own. He was their king, their provider, their protector. But time and time again, their pride caused them to turn away. They looked at the surrounding nations and their human kings, and their pride said, "We want that too. We want to be like everyone else." They grew proud of their status as God's chosen people. But it became a source of arrogance rather than humble gratitude. They started to believe they were inherently better than other nations. This pride blinded them to their own sin and caused them to reject the prophets God sent to warn them. They rejected God's commands, thinking they knew a better way. And what was the result? Division, defeat, and ultimately, exile. Their kingdom was torn apart, and they were carried off into captivity in Babylon. Their pride led directly to their downfall and destruction, a heartbreaking consequence of forgetting their reliance on God. So what's the antidote? If pride is the disease, humility is the cure. And true humility isn't about self-hatred. It's about self-forgetfulness. It's recognizing that everything we have, our talents, our resources, our very breath, is a gift from God. It's understanding our complete and utter dependence on Him for everything. Philippians 2 gives us the perfect model of humility in Jesus Christ. Though He was God, He did not consider equality with God something to be grasped. Instead, He emptied Himself, taking the form of a servant, and humbled Himself to the point of death on a cross. He put our needs before His own. He is the ultimate example of strength found in service, and exaltation found in humility. Fighting pride is a daily battle. It requires constant self-examination and a willingness to be honest with ourselves and with God. It means celebrating the successes of others without feeling threatened. It means being quick to apologize and quick to forgive. It means seeking feedback and being open to correction. It means serving others without needing a thank you. It means confessing our weaknesses and acknowledging our need for a Savior. It is a conscious choice to take the focus off of me and place it firmly on God and on the people He has placed in our lives. Pride may be the most deceptive sin, but it's not unbeatable. Through the grace of God and the example of Christ, we can cultivate a spirit of true humility. By being aware of its disguises and understanding its destructive power, we can learn to spot it, confess it, and replace it with the life-giving, relationship-building power of humility. Let's choose the path of humility, the path that leads not to a fall, but to true life and genuine connection with God and with each other. Thanks so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that dives deep into these important topics. And share your thoughts in the comments below. How have you seen pride or humility at work in your own life? Let's continue the conversation. See you in the next video.